On this edition of Independent Sources, Ethnic Eats, from down south to the far east, our look at some of the savory and sometimes sweet food that can be found in New York City. Our special look coming up. Welcome to Independent Sources, bringing you news from New York's ethnic and immigrant communities. I'm Abby Ashola. Everyone loves good food, and in New York City, the menu of meals to choose from is as diverse as the people who live here. This week, we'll take a look back at some of the businesses and people we've profiled from the city's food sector. We'll start with Eat Off Beat, a recently launched food delivery service that employs resettled refugees as chefs. The service was started by Manal Kahi, her brother Wissam, and chef Juan Suarez de Lezo. Zyphus LeBron spoke with Kahi about the variety of food Eat Off Beat offers and what she and her partners hope to accomplish.
Manal, thank you very much for being in studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Eat Off Beat. Could you explain exactly what is Eat Off Beat?
Sure. So Eat Off Beat delivers authentic ethnic meals that are conceived, prepared, and delivered by refugees in New York City. We basically hire refugees, we train them, and we help them develop their recipes. So we build on their own culinary heritage and their own home cooking skills to provide New Yorkers with new and off the beaten path cuisines, right, that they wouldn't be able to find anywhere else.
Wow. So why did you decide to do this?
That's a long story, but basically when I came to the US about a year and a half ago, I was a bit disappointed with the hummus I found at supermarkets. It wasn't up to standards. I'm from Lebanon, so I have very high standards when it comes to hummus. And the one you find at supermarkets is just not as good as the one you can make at home.
Right.
So I started making my own hummus based on a family recipe that I got from my grandmother back home. And everyone around me really raved about it. They really loved that hummus. And when I mentioned that to my brother, Wissam, who's my co-founder now, he said, hey, Manal, we should sell it. If it's so successful, we should find a way to sell it. And that's how it started. We started thinking of selling hummus that's authentic, that's homemade, and that's made with love, because we knew that was much better than the one you find. And when we started thinking of who could make really amazing hummus, just like the one our grandma makes back home, we thought of Syrian refugees who were starting to come into the country. So that was 2013. That was the midst of the refugee crisis back home in Lebanon. We already had that in the back of our minds, and we wanted to do something about it. Back home, we felt a bit hopeless. There was nothing I personally could do about it. But here was an opportunity to kind of do maybe just a little bit, help the situation, even if just a little bit.
Of course.
And that's how it started. Afterwards, we knew there was much more to it than hummus. We knew there were many more recipes that had, the same feature. Just like hummus, they were much better when they were made by someone based on a family recipe rather than when you get them in a restaurant. And being curious ourselves, we wanted to discover other cuisines. We wanted to see if there's other types of cuisines that had the same offerings, let's say.
Right.
And that's why we opened it up, and that's how we came to Eat Off Beat.
Okay. So now it's kind of it's delivery. So how did it go from, hey, listen, we want to create this, and why the decision to make it like takeout rather than create a space where you can say, hey, come to our restaurant, we've got all this wonderful stuff?
Yeah, so basically the decision was we wanted to make it available to the largest audience possible. And we knew through delivery you could make it, you could scale much easier. You could go all over Manhattan, parts of Brooklyn, Queens. It was easier to scale in this model rather than have a brick and mortar space where you're restricted. You can only have, say, 30 people at a time. Plus, the capital investment is much higher in a brick and mortar space. So that's why we also decided to go into the more flexible, trendy model of deliveries. The other reason is we also saw one thing I may not have mentioned, but we're selling through the website, mostly through the website, our website and phone application. And those are, for us, those are the channels for people or for customers to communicate with our chefs. So we want there to be a lot of communication. We want our chefs to be able to share their stories, to share their ambitions through the website, and to share stories about their dishes, their recipes. They got them from their grandmother or from this particular region in the south of the country. So we want those stories to be shared on the website. And that's why we found that selling online will make this possible.
Right.
So delivery through a website, through online tools, was made available, was easier for us to sell our story too.
Okay, so what is the website?
It's www.eatoffbeat.com.
Okay, and so the app as well is Eat Off Beat?
Yes, the app is Eat Off Beat. It hasn't been launched yet. We're working
Okay.
on it. So hopefully very soon we'll have an app too.
Oh, wonderful. So now you mentioned the fact that you guys were looking for to cover the widest space available. Who are you guys reaching right now? What boroughs are you hitting right now?
Yeah, so right now we're making deliveries for groups of 10 people and more all over Manhattan, parts of Brooklyn and parts of Queens, even parts of the Bronx.
Oh, wow.
Our kitchen is located in Long Island City, so we're trying to reach every region as long as it's a group of 10 and more.
Okay.
Hopefully in the near future we'll also be able to deliver even to individuals,
All
so
right.
to also fulfill individual orders.
All right, well, I look forward to that. So let's talk a little bit. I've seen some photos, and a lot of the chefs that you guys seem to be taking in, or training rather, are women. Is that, are you specifically focusing on women, or it just happened that it's more women who are coming into the fold?
Yeah, we're not necessarily focusing on women. It happened this way. So when we're opening, so I haven't mentioned, but we've partnered with the International Rescue Committee, the IRC. That's the main resettlement agency in the US, one of the main resettlement agencies in the US.
Right.
And they usually, they help us identify those refugees who are very talented home cooks and who are passionate about their recipes, who are passionate about food and about sharing their culture through food.
Right.
And so far it's been women.
Right,
It's mostly
right.
been women. We're not necessarily strict on that. If there are men who want to cook, who want to share their culture
Right,
through
right.
food, who are passionate about that, we're more than happy to accommodate that.
All right. So now I know that you guys are being assisted by Chef Juan Suarez de Leso.
Leso.
What is his role within the program?
But the women we recruit or the people we recruit are all home cooks. They don't necessarily have any professional background working in a kitchen space, in a commercial kitchen, or at a restaurant. Chef Juan trains them. So he helps them adjust their recipes, balance their recipes, make sure that they are up to standards, and he helps maintain quality in the kitchen. So he also trains them on hygiene standards, he trains them on cutting techniques, chopping techniques,
Right.
on cooking techniques, and yeah, so basic training to translate their recipes from a home style to
Right.
a more industrial style.
Right.
Not necessarily industrial, but a larger scale.
Right,
of
right,
cooking.
absolutely, absolutely. So the other thing now I'm curious about is there a specific profile of person that you guys are looking for?
The only thing we require is, as I said, passion for food, passion for sharing your culture through food, and being a good home cook. That's it. Not even English proficiency. Otherwise, you don't need to have any professional background, any particular skills. Very little English helps, but it's not even a requirement. All we need is a passion for food.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, Manal, thank you so much. I wish you and your brother the best of luck with
Thank
the
you.
program.
Thank you for having us.
All right, awesome.
When we come back, a corporate attorney leaves her high-powered job to pursue her dream as a chef. Before that, Crystal Lowe has some other news.
Thanks, Abby. Here's a look at some headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. Brazil's political crisis is echoing in New York. A group of academics, workers, and artists met recently to speak out against the impeachment of Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff. Rousseff stands accused of using money from public banks to cover budget gaps in Brazil. Voices of New York reports that the group called Defend Democracy in Brazil was formed in New York about 2 months ago and came together to show the world what they say is really going on in Brazil. They claim that Rousseff's impeachment is a political coup disguised as a legitimate and legal impeachment. They feel that the politicians targeting Rousseff have themselves been implicated in serious scandals involving bribery, electoral fraud, and even human rights issues. They blame the press for the deep divisions within the country and feel that it is their duty to expose the truth. So far, the organization has organized 3 protests in Union Square and is circulating the hashtag Defend Democracy in Brazil. Following the death of 2-year-old Melody Feng and the subsequent arrest of her mother, Lin Li, last month, the Chinese-American Sunshine House has just launched its 2nd series of parenting classes at the New York Family of Hope Clinic in Sunset Park. CSH was founded over 6 years ago by Dr. Zhu Zhang Chen, in order to address mental health issues within the Asian American community. The Sunset Park Voice reports that Melody Fang was a satellite baby who returned to Brooklyn just months before her death. Satellite babies are children who are born in America, then sent to China to be raised by their grandparents. Then they're sent back here to begin school. These children are often returned to parents who lack communication and parenting skills. The organization hopes to prevent abuse and deaths like Melody's from happening in the future by providing parents with the tools they need to properly nurture and communicate with their children. The parenting classes are free and are taught in Mandarin, with lessons also printed in Cantonese. Imprimedia, the parent company of the oldest Spanish paper in the U.S., has donated its private archive to Columbia University. The collection compiles every issue of the paper from 1929 until 2012. La Prensa was founded in 1913, and El Diario was established in 1947. The two publications merged in 1963, and for over a century has served the Hispanic community by informing the population in their own language about the news and cultural events happening in New York City and beyond. The historical annals consist of 617 tomes of printed newspapers and 175 discs containing digitized issues of the publication. The collection will be included within the Rare Book and Manuscript Library at the university, where historically important publications with only one copy are kept. And finally, the Amsterdam News reports on a successful entrepreneur who is paying it forward. Michael Mikey Cole owns a Lower East Side ice cream parlor called Mikey Likes It, where he hires people who are re-entering society after serving time. After a 6-month jail sentence that prevented him from gaining employment, Cole enrolled in the Defy Ventures program, designed to help formerly incarcerated individuals by giving them the tools they need to start a business. The program is competition-based, and Cole won. Cole is hoping to use Mikey Likes It ice cream as an example. He wants to put his product in disadvantaged communities and use it as a tool to teach kids entrepreneurship skills. Those were just a few headlines from the city's ethnic and community media. Independent Sources will be right back.
Thanks for staying tuned to our special Ethnic Eats edition. Ex-lawyer turned restaurateur Xing Bai has taken her passion for cooking to the Lower East Side. Xing's Awesome Rice offers a few healthier options of the well-known Chinese food favorite, fried rice. We learn more in this report produced by Sherry McNeil.
I've been thinking about doing something around the food industry for actually a long time. In New York City, it's very a foodie city, very sophisticated people everywhere. However, people's perception of Chinese food, it's somewhat troublesome. Chinese food it's a very sophisticated culture and can be very fancy, very sexy, very elegant. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Chinese takeouts. I love them too, but there should be like many more layers to it. So I want to introduce this different element of Chinese food and bring to the market. This is something every Chinese kid grew up with. Each province cook their seared rice, fried rice slightly differently, but I'm sure all kids had the experience. You come back home, oh, mom, give me something to eat. Here's a fried rice. So it's something very familiar within our culture. I'm a homemade chef, and I enjoy cooking many different type of cuisine and more like creative cooking. I try different fusion. But this angle is the Chinese pan-seared rice is something that I feel very strongly, very passionate about to introduce to New York City or American market. I guess one good reference point would be ramen, the Japanese ramen, ramen, which was not a familiar concept in the US at all 20 years ago. Now, ramen shop is on every corner. I think the Japanese restaurateurs did a great job introducing a street food, a late night snack food into the mass market. I think what makes us different from other Asian food is we focus on getting our process standardized. So we distilled we test out different approach and distill the process into a good operational menu. And each chef, each line cook follow the exact same thing. We cook certain things down to, like we set timer down to seconds. So that way, I think the quality is very consistent. It doesn't matter who is on duty. The customer should have the same experience. Many times people come in and ask me, what's the style, what's the food here? Is it Shanghai, is it Beijing, what is it? So I would say we are an intra-China fusion. So it's like Beijing and Cantonese style fusion, but also with Thailand, Japanese, even Western cooking method. Many times when I was finally at home, 5 a.m., like I cannot feel my face muscle. I asked my boyfriend, like, remind me, why did I quit my law job again? Like, I question myself every night, but then the answer is always, oh, I actually love this life slightly more. I enjoy practicing law a lot. So to say I like this more, it's a very positive statement.
When Nicole Taylor moved to New York in 2008, she brought along her Georgia upbringing and her love for cooking family recipes. It wasn't long until her Northeastern experience started to seep into her Southern roots. Taylor documented that fusion in her very first recipe book, The Up South Cookbook, Chasing Dixie in a Brooklyn Kitchen. I spoke to Taylor about how she poured her love for food and family into this project.
Thanks for being on the show, Nicole.
Thank you for having me.
So the Up South Cookbook, I have my copy, but for those who haven't flipped through the pages, describe what they'll see when they get that book.
The Up South Cookbook, Chasing Dixie in a Brooklyn Kitchen, is definitely a culinary story or my journey from Athens, Georgia, or the state of Georgia, and then moving to Brooklyn. So there are over 100 recipes, classic Southern recipes, and the other ones are influenced by me living right here in the Northeast.
Cool. So why the name Up South?
Oh, Up South. It means so many different things. I think one of the Harlem Renaissance poet used the word Up South kind of to describe the migration, one of the first migration when folks were moving from the South and then moving to Harlem or moving to the Northeast, where they brought all the Southern sensibilities or the food and the music and all that stuff. But I kind of used the word Up South because it meant, you know, being inspired by folks who are from the South living in New York City. And it just keeps me connected to my home state and to the traditions of food.
Yeah, I know you once shared a story about how, as a young person, you would always hear people say, oh, such and such moved up north.
Yeah. One of the things I would hear, my great aunt, you know, she lived in Washington, D.C. for over 50 years. And I would always hear people on the phone say, Aunt Bessie Goolsby is up north. And so the up north is almost kind of the same thing as up south. It denotes this move, this migration, something bigger, something better.
Nice. So I know a lot of the book contains stories of the women in your life who inspired you and taught you how to cook. Can you share some of that with us?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, every single recipe starts off with a story or anecdote. Most of them are stories from, you know, my mother, my aunts, and other women in my family. One of my favorite stories, I like to talk about my two aunts and my mother and their cast iron skillet wars. They have these cast iron skillets that are probably, at this point, probably the same age as them, so almost 70 years old. And it's only 3 of them. And they like bicker back and forth. They like borrow it when they're doing a big kid Sunday dinner, and then they're like, I never got the cast iron pan back. So it was really funny, and I really want one. I'm like, yeah, a good old school cast iron skillet is like, it's like the holy grail, right?
Wow.
I can't even get one because they're always bickering about it. So that's a really cool story that I have in there. And then I also have stories about, you know, moving to Brooklyn and being a part of the first Brooklyn swappers, food swappers, BK Swappers. A group of women came together right in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and started swapping food and larder items. And it really spawned a whole movement all over the country with folks like swapping jams and homemade breads and biscuits. So you'll see that story inside of the cookbook as well.
So how did the women in your life inspire your style of cooking?
Wow. When I think about the women in my life and how they put food on the table, it's like against all odds, and being how can I say this, pressing through. No matter what, they came home and put dinner on the table. Dinner, breakfast, and sometimes lunch, 3 meals a day. And so seeing, those work ethics, and seeing the tenacity of making a way out of no way, and, taking a can of salmon and making salmon patties for like everybody in the house and
Wow.
people that came over to visit. That really influenced this cookbook and really influenced other things in my life. What it means to persevere and what it means to always be able to feed people or nourish people in some kind of way. So I think those are the biggest lessons that are actually lessons in the kitchen and lessons outside of the kitchen as well.
Great. With such a unique concept for a book, when I say unique, I mean it's not the typical soul food book.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to get a publisher?
So, when you look at the landscape, the landscape of cookbooks, there are not a lot of African American cookbooks that are published every year. This year, and actually, last year, 2015, this fall, I think 6 cookbooks came out, all by Black women, all their stories, very different stories. And that was huge because you can go 2 or 3 years and there aren't any books by Black folks that are being published by major publishers. So that is a big deal. And a lot of times what you see or what people think when they see a woman of color from the South, that it's a soul food book.
Yeah.
I like to say that my book isn't soul food. And when I, got with my agent, she believed in me from day one. And she didn't even look at my cookbook proposal. I think she just saw the tenacity of me, wanting to tell my stories. She never even brought up the word soul food. But I think a lot of publishers, when we presented it to them, they were like, maybe this can be a soul food book. We need a new soul food book. And I think my story resonates with all types of people and not necessarily folks who are looking for soul food.
How did they want you to change it?
I think some publishers, first of all, my publisher is the Countryman Press. They are an imprint of Norton. They did not ask me to change a thing in this cookbook. I mean, they were like, we love it, we love the idea, we love the concept, and they gave me creative freedom to be able to do this book. But I think other publishers who were initially sort of interested thought, well, maybe this could be a soul food book. Because if you look at the soul food category, if you go on, Amazon, or if you go to your local bookstore, you'll see that there aren't that many books about soul food that are being published. But everybody, that's not their story. Every story is not about soul food. I didn't grow up eating soul food every day. We had, what folks would consider soul food or Southern food on maybe one day a week on a Sunday after church or special occasions. It's not the food that I grew up eating every single day.
Well, everything sounds really delicious. Thank you so much for being on the show, Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
Stay tuned, there's more to come on Independent Sources. Finally, Guyanese native Sunita Shudin is bringing a tropical fusion to Glendale, Queens by sharing her love of sweets and treats at Mahalo New York Bakery. Sherry McNeil produced this report.
My name is Sunita Devi Shudin. I'm co-owner. My husband and I own it together, Michael Shudin. And this bakery is called Mahalo New York Bakery. I grew up in Guyana. It's a little country in South America next to Venezuela and Brazil. I always liked baking. I used to bake for the family, and I think that just kind of snowballed into owning this. I honestly liked creating like fondant pieces more than baking. I kind of liked the decorating portion more than the baking. But owning a business, you kind of have to just wear a bunch of different hats, and that included perfecting baking. growing up in a tropical country definitely inspired a lot of the flavors here. So things like mango passion fruit cheesecakes are a bestseller, but things like that reminds me of home. So each and every cupcake or dessert kind of reminded me of something in the past, whether it's back home or my trip in Hawaii that I spent with my husband. In Guyana, we walked around and we called each other aunties and uncles, even if they were strangers. We never said miss and sir. And when we went to Hawaii for our honeymoon, it was very similar in the sense that people walked around and called each other cousins, and I was like, wow, this is great, because in New York you don't get that feel. The flavors as well, definitely. Both of those places have the mangoes, the passion fruit, the guavas, and just the full nature of things. I just love the idea of stopping and saying hello to my family and neighbors and friends. And New Yorkers can be a little bit on the stubborn side. And I wanted to create a bakery that kind of allows that feeling, that family type feeling. All of my recipes I've baked and I've tried with my family before I've actually baked for my customers. So I'm comfortable in saying that I literally bake for my customers as if I were baking for my family, and I wanted everyone to kind of taste what I eat and get a little bit of that aloha spirit. So bringing a little bit of aloha and bringing a little bit of Guyana here definitely fits the tone, and I think Queens is just a mixed salad, for example. It's beautiful and there's so many different cultures, and food is very important to me, and I wanted to share a little bit of family. I have things like my mom's rice pudding. She makes it for me. I haven't even perfected making it as yet, and she doesn't even have a recipe. She just throws things in there and it comes out great. And people come in and they absolutely love it. I definitely want my products to just reflect Hawaii in that natural sense. So you'll find a lot of fruits, you'll find a lot of flowers, you'll find a lot of our stuff decorated to reflect nature. And that's always an inspiration as well. We bake fresh every day. Mainly I do the baking. But when you come to Mahalanir Bakery, you get that sense of family. You get that sense that you're going to be welcome no matter what culture you're coming from. Everyone can love food, and who doesn't like cupcakes and desserts? And mango passion fruit is something that everyone tends to like. So if you're looking for something tropical, a little out of the ordinary from the New York desserts that you normally eat, you'll definitely find that here.
That's our special look this week at some of the city's ethnic eats. Thanks for staying tuned. Till next time, be independent-minded.